Folks, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. And we are in the book of Ecclesiastes. And just a little quick review. Remember in chapter 3 what it said. There is a time to be born and a time to die. Let's quickly go over those. There's a time to die, and then there's a time to plant and a time to pluck up. There's a time to kill and a time to heal. Let's remember what we're talking about when we're in Ecclesiastes. There's a time to break down and a time to build up. Now Solomon, who was the wisest of human on earth as far as wisdom goes, or the wisdom of the world goes, I would say not as wise as Adam, but a wise man. Anyway, there's a time to break down, and there's a time to build up. There's a time to weep, and then there's a time to laugh. We're all going to go through these times in our life, and that's why he's relating these times to us as we go on through. And then there's a time to dance, he said, and there's a time to mourn. And there's a time when we will dance, and then there's a time when we will mourn. You know, I hear it said many times, we are only one telephone call away from pure grief and from mourning. And there's a time to cast away, and then there's a time to gather up. There's a time to gather up stones, and there's a time to cast away all things, he's saying. And then there is a time to cast away. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. If you have a problem in this one, not wanting to leave home, or not wanting to leave the comforts of an embrace of a parent or whatever, there is a time when you need to separate. And a man will leave his father and mother and cleave unto a wife. That's one of the times of not embracing, separating from your family and then embracing that wife. And then you have to be careful when you embrace that wife that you don't leave God out. There's a time to lose or take a loss, and then there's a time to keep things. There is a time, my wife's all the time saying to me, you're a hoarder. It's time for you to get rid of this stuff. Just back a dumpster in here. I said, no, if I was going to get rid of it anyway, I'd just have a yard sale, but then I'd kick myself the rest of my life for selling it. But there's a time to sow, and there's a time to rend. There's a time to sow, and there's a time to reap. And we must be careful that we sow at the right time so we get the early rain, and then the middle rain, and the latter rain. And there's a time to keep silent, and there's a time to speak. Many people just open up and speak their mind anytime. Well, there's a time when you shouldn't be speaking your mind, when you should just wait. Just wait on the Lord and see what's going to happen. And he says there is a time to love and a time to hate. Remember now, there is a time to love and a time to hate. But what do you hate? You can hate evil and be right, not sin. You can hate unrighteousness and not sin. You can hate that which is filthy, that which is degradative, and that which is things, and not be wrong. The Bible said, though, if a man would not hate his mother, father, sister, and brother more than he loves me, then he's in trouble. What he's saying, are you willing to put away your immediate family for God? I have, even in the last week or two, had a bout with my sister, and she doesn't feel like that it's more important to serve the Lord than it is to serve your family. Well, if I'm called to do something in the Lord, I can't just come to the church and say, I'm going to quit all this and go over here and take care of my family. That was what the disciple asked the Lord. He said, well, let me go bury my father first. What he was saying, his father wasn't sick. His father wasn't near dead. His father wasn't anything. It was a custom in that day for a man to hang around, and when his daddy died, bury him. And Jesus was saying, no, you don't know when he's going to die. He might outlive you. You might be passing back through here. one day and he's on the deathbed, then you can bury him. That'd be fine. But you don't need to hang around the world and do the way of the world so that you can accomplish something in the world, is what he was saying. And then there's a time to make war, and there's a time to make peace. There's a time of war and a time of peace. And there is a time when we're going to have a war, and we have to have a war. And you know, if you have a rebellious child, there's going to be a time when you're going to have a war with that child, and you're going to have to win it. And don't let it get there, though. Oh, my goodness, if I had advice for parents today, it would be don't wait until you have to have a war. Take care of it prior to the war. And those were in chapter 3. And then we moved on to chapter 4, that knowing whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Whatever God does, it will be forever. Nothing can be put, listen, nothing can be put to it, nor anything can be taken away from it. And God doeth it that man should fear before him. What God does, he does, that man would fear before him. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Do you fear God, my friend? I fear the Lord. I fear the Lord. I fear him enough to do evil. I fear him enough to not to do anything that I feel like would be against him. He said, that which hath been is now, and that which is would be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. Listen, God requiteth that which is past. He looks at it. He's seen it. And he knows all about it. But he also knows the future. And nothing has happened that you can't think up anything new. Everything that comes up under the sun has already been invented. I saw a thing the other day where a guy had a magnet and put a pair of glasses on. That's nothing new. My son did that. And he does that now. He carries a magnet in his pocket and sticks stuff to it outside of his pants, tools that he's working with. And so there's nothing new under the sun. What profit is it? The Bible said, what profit is it if we put all of our eggs in the basket of the world, and then the world goes haywire and we lose everything? What profit is that? It's of no profit. I talk about the widow and the two mites. The Bible said this will be a memorial for her all the days. From now on, forever, he said, forever. What about the lady that anointed Jesus for his burial? Took the basket of alabaster, the box, and broke it, and put the wealthy ointment on him. He said, y'all done nothing. She has anointed me for my burial. What about that? And he said, and this will go down for memorial for her from now on. And then what profit is it? If we give the poor, then there is a profit. There is a profit in helping the poor and the needy. And that profit is going to be in heaven too. The Bible said you will always have the poor with you. But Jesus didn't come to save those who didn't have a need. He came to be a doctor to those who needed a doctor. And let's look at verse 18 in chapter 3. He said, in mine heart, concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. You remember Solomon said in this recap, that Solomon said that the beast goes down, and the soul goes down, and the man's soul goes up, and the man's spirit goes up. The beast doesn't have a soul, but his body goes down and his spirit goes down. The man's goes up. And then I got into chapter 4, and he said an alternative to looking at the vanities is to turn them around and see what is not vanity, get in it, and follow it. He said, so I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such which were oppressed, and they had no comfort. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comfort. Wherefore I praise the dead which are already dead more than the living which are yet alive. He said, this is an astounding statement. This sounds like a man that is in oppression, great oppression. Like for instance, you know, Jonah brought himself to a great oppression. God said to Jonah, do you do well to be mad about this? And Jonah said, yea, Lord, I do. He was in a great depression too, see. And here was a man in a great depression. He said, and again I consider all the travail and every right work. And for this man is envied of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation. What he's saying is that 2, 3, 4 things here he asked in this chapter 4 to start with, and that was, what should we help the poor? Yes. Is that vanity? No. It might not come to any good, but it's not vanity. It may not come to good on this earth, but it can be rewards in heaven. And then he's saying, though, you know, a man that's already gone down under the earth can be better off than a fellow that's still on the earth, because he's gone and he's out of the travail of the earth and away from the problems that the earth has. He said, then I returned and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches, neither saith he, for whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good. This is also vanity, yea, it is a sore travail. And that word sore travail, S-O-R-E, is a very, very complex word. That means an intense thing. Here is an intense, real intense thing right here. That the soul of a man be vexed by working every day and piling up money when he has no reason to, no use for it, and it's not going to do him any good, and it's all vanity and vexation. He came into this world naked, and this world he will leave naked. Well, our time is come and gone, and we must leave for now, and we'll be back with another excerpt, and we'll be getting into chapter 5 in a few minutes. Okay. See ya. This is Brother Peter saying goodbye for now.